You know you're gonna see the best of the worst with the Shit Flick Critic. You know you're gonna see shit that's absurd with the Shit Flick Critic. From Pandemic the Room, Samurai Cop Troll 2, Man of Sense of Fate, Mighty Connection 2. So come along, see the worst with me, I'm the Shit Flick Critic.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Shit Flick Critic. I'm your host Andrew Lewis, and in this series I'll be taking you through some of the worst films in search of the absolute best stinkers out there. Now, given that this is my first episode, I thought I'd start things off with a film that began my love for shit movies.
The one, the only, the mystical, the mesmerizing, the incomprehensible, and the satisfying The Room.
I never hit you.
I don't love him anymore.
I love you. I keep thinking about your strong hands around my body.
You shouldn't have any secrets from me.
Don't touch me, motherfucker. You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Made in 2003 by Tommy Wiseau, seen here doing his best Forrest Whitaker impression, The Room follows the relationship struggles between benevolent Johnny, his fiancée Lisa, and her affair with Johnny's best friend Mark. Like an Orson Welles of shit, Tommy Wiseau wrote, directed, produced, and starred in this epic train wreck, and I apologise to any train wrecks that might be watching out there. The film apparently had a lot of production issues, and eventually ended up costing a whopping $6 million out of Tommy's pocket. One of these issues was Tommy's bizarre decision to use film and digital cameras simultaneously. The exact details of how Tommy obtained the fortune required to make this film remain a mystery, but the biggest mystery of all is the man himself. There have been many theories as to his origins, such as New Orleans, Poland, alternate dimensions, the Ninth Circle of Hell, France, but so far all just remains speculation. One thing that's for certain, this guy turns everything he touches into a steaming pile of horse shit.
Or as we call it here in Australia, horse godgies. We don't, I just made that up.
The worst and best mistake Tommy made in the creation of this film, and I say film with quotation marks so big that they virtually render the term illegible, high marks, was casting himself as lead actor.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Without his acting contributions, the movie would just be a boring, confusing, yet slightly amusing run-of-the-mill bad movie. But throw Tommy's acting into the mix and you have the ingredients for a movie so bad it transcends space and time itself.
I can't confront her. I want to give her a second chance. After all, she's my future wife. You know what they say, love is blind.
The weird part about Tommy's performances is they're really unenthusiastic, like he's bored or doesn't give a shit to be starring in his own film.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, hi, Danny.
Please! Don't get up.
At one point, he's even bored of his own story.
Well, it's a very interesting story. When I moved to San Francisco with 2 suitcases, and I didn't know anyone, and I hit YMCA with a $2,000 check which I couldn't cash.
Why not?
Well, because it was an out-of-state bank. Anyway, I was working as a busboy in a hotel.
Significant portions of his lines are dubbed too, and badly might I add, making the dialogue even more jarring.
I would do anything for my girl. I'm going to take a nap.
What a story, Mark.
In a few minutes, bitch. I'm tired, I'm wasted.
My mouth's out of sync.
As the title suggests, a good portion of the narrative in this movie does take place in the one room. If you don't count upstairs, or on the roof, or in a store, or in alleyways. So yeah, some of it doesn't, but some of it does. It's all very confusing.
Tommy Wiseau has said that the reason why he called it The Room was because he wanted to invoke a safe place for audiences. Yeah, because nothing bad has ever happened in a room before.
Hey, Paul!
Something you'll notice at the very beginning of the movie is that there are a lot of long, and although somewhat beautiful, completely irrelevant shots of San Francisco.
There's almost no point to these shots other than to tell the audience that the characters live in San Francisco, which I think is the kind of thing you do when the events of this movie couldn't have happened anywhere else. Sometimes they're used as scene transitions or to show a passage of time, which makes it even more confusing when they're used during a party, only to go back to the same damn party.
Hey Tommy, do me a favour. When you establish an editing convention, don't fuck with the audience.
So the main story basically revolves around a banker named Johnny, insert surname here, and his future wife Lisa, who I believe is in the computer business, despite not showing any computer-related equipment in their flat.
You're right. The computer business is too competitive.
Apparently I need something called a computer?
So Lisa has had enough of Johnny constantly having sex with her belly button and decides to call Johnny's best friend Mark to arrange some illicit activities. Mark tells her that he's very busy despite the fact he's just sitting in his car doing nothing and agrees to see her the next day.
Bye.
Alright, see ya.
Now, where was I?
We're told at this point that Mark is Johnny's best friend, despite the fact we never actually see them in the same frame together until 34 minutes into the film.
And don't worry if you forgot at one point that Johnny is Mark's best friend, because the movie makes a point of reminding you again,
Johnny's my best friend.
and again,
Johnny's my best friend.
He's your best friend.
and again.
I'm so happy I have you as my best friend.
Oh, come on, Johnny's my best friend.
Mark's his best friend.
In fact, we don't actually see them having a good time together until the movie is almost over. If they had have moved this scene earlier in the film, or even started it as the credits rolled, we wouldn't have to have been constantly reminded of their friendship.
We would know through the power of cinema!
And it's the same with Denny too. Stop saying that Johnny's like a father to him,
He's like a father figure to him.
You know that Johnny's like your father.
and instead put them in a situation where Johnny does something a role model would do that isn't leaving Denny downstairs while he takes his fiancée upstairs to root. So Lisa and Johnny get drunk one night. And I can tell they're drunk because Lord knows in Hollywood it's near impossible to have someone drinking without a tie wrapped around their head. The next day, Lisa tells her mother for no reason that Johnny hit her while he was drunk.
And he got drunk last night. And he hit me.
Johnny doesn't drink.
Kinda missing the point there, Mum.
Johnny eventually finds out, prompting the best piece of acting in cinematic history.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
The best part of that scene is that it apparently took Tommy 32 takes to get right. If that's a final product, imagine what seeing the other 31 takes must be like.
The two best friends finally have an on-screen conversation with each other, where Johnny confides in Mark about his relationship problems with Lisa, when Mark says,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You think girls like to cheat like guys do?
Mark, you're asking this question to the fiancé of the girl you're sleeping with. I think the answer is yes. Later, Johnny overhears Lisa openly talking to her mother about cheating on him with Mark, and instead of confronting her there and then, he needlessly taps the phone with a tape recorder and a really, really long tape. Who's the fool now? Lisa decides, despite not loving Johnny, to throw him a surprise party anyway. Surprise! Out of spite, I guess.
Thank you, honey. This is a beautiful party. You invited all my friends. Good thinking.
Yeah, Lisa, inviting all of Johnny's best friends to his own surprise party. Way to think outside the square.
While everyone is outside, Lisa uses the privacy to flirt with Mark, when this guy walks in and he is disgusted.
Why are you doing this?
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
I don't believe it.
It would be nice if we knew who the fuck this guy was at this stage in the movie. Seriously, he just pops out of nowhere. Apparently the actor who plays Johnny's psychologist friend...
I don't know what to say.
But you're a psychologist.
Well, tell me about your problems, Johnny.
Peter, you always play psychologist with us.
had to pull out due to another acting gig.
Alright, that's it, I'm done. Great idea, Denny.
So his part in the party was instead played by this actor.
The problem is that the part wasn't rewritten in any way. So no, oh, I'm Johnny's younger brother, or I went to college with Johnny. So we're just left scratching our head wondering who the fuck this guy is and why he cares so much.
You're going to destroy Johnny. He's very sensitive.
Boy, I've never seen him so down, or ever before.
His acting is terrible, by the way.
When is the baby due? What are you talking about? I feel like I'm sitting on an atomic bomb waiting for it to go off.
Me too.
So Johnny then tells the guest that Lisa and him are expecting a child, after which Lisa tells her friend, and that guy, that she was lying and explains that
I told them that to make it interesting. We're probably gonna have a baby eventually anyway.
I guess.
Johnny sees Lisa and Mark slow dancing and finally catches on that there might be something going on between them, resulting in an intense fight and some childish name-calling.
You're just a chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
The party is then ended, and while Johnny is sulking in the bathroom, Lisa calls Mark, and even though Johnny can distinctively hear her, he still goes and grabs the world's longest cassette, plays it to her. She leaves, he has a half-hearted tantrum and shoots himself. The end. If you don't count all the fucking additional and unnecessary scenes that pad this movie out to no end. Seriously, there are so many subplots that introduce, briefly discuss, and then immediately abandon the very next scene.
A lot of the scenes are repeated too, sort of like a really shitty Groundhog Day.
Tommy wakes up. Lisa talks to her mother about not liking Johnny, or liking Johnny as the case may be. Lisa sexually advances on an oblivious Mark. They have sex. Johnny comes home. They fight, then have sex. He even tries to kill himself like Bill Murray, albeit a little bit more successfully.
Groundhog Day, more like shit hog day. Sorry guys, I thought about that for 6 hours and that's the best I could come up with.
No subplot is more notorious than the cancer scene. So Lisa is once again talking to her mum about not loving Johnny anymore, when her mother starts to talk about how her brother, never referred to as Lisa's uncle, wants a share of her house. Then, as if from nowhere, she nonchalantly tells Lisa that
everything goes wrong at once. Nobody wants to help me, and I'm dying.
You're not dying, Mom.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Look, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. They're curing lots of people every day.
And then they never mention it again for the rest of the movie.
And I love the mum's reaction too. It's like, I know, I'm such a worry, what? I'm sure it'll pass, as most cancers don't.
Another huge red herring is the Chris R scene, where Denny, the serial killer-to-be neighbour of theirs, has an altercation with his dealer about some outstanding debts, resulting in a somewhat heated argument.
Where's my fucking money, Denny?
Everyone suddenly ascends onto the roof, where Johnny and Mark grab Chris. Very lucky they didn't blow Denny's head off in the process, and in Johnny's words,
let's take him to the police.
Lisa and her mother just stand and yell at Denny for a while.
I bought some drugs off of him.
What were you giving them to him? Selling them to him?
What, you got cancer in your ears too?
Denny promises to never do it again, and they all go home.
Really? That's it? No police inquiry? Wouldn't Chris R have mentioned to the police the reason he had a gun against Danny's head, prompting in an investigation and the possible arrest of Danny for possessing drugs? Whatever. There's also a great deal of scenes involving football. And I'm not from America, so I'm not familiar with your pastimes. But do you guys really just stand around throwing the football like 5 feet from each other? I mean, I know you guys were lazy, but come on!
My favourite football scene has to be the alley scene, which, by the way, is totally a real alley, much in the same way as that is totally a real rooftop. It begins with Derpy McDerpface recounting a story about something that happened after he and his girlfriend were finished banging in Johnny's apartment, which Johnny for some reason is totally not bothered by. Here it is in its entirety for you.
Hey Johnny, what's going on, man?
Oh, hi Mike, what's new?
Actually, Johnny, I got a little bit of a tragedy on my hands. Yeah. Me and Michelle, we were making out at your place. And Lisa and Claudette sort of walked in on us in the middle of it. That's not the end of the story.
Go on, I'm listening.
Okay, we're going at it, and I get out of there as fast as possible. You know, I get my pants, I get my shirt, and I get out of there. And then about halfway down the stairs, I realize that I have misplaced. I have forgotten something. My underwear. So I come back to get it, you know, and I pretend that I need a book. You know, I'm like looking for my book, and then I reach in, put the underwear in my pocket, and sort of slide out real quick. Well, Claudette, she saw it sticking out of my pocket, so she pulls it out, and she's showing everybody me underwears.
You must be kidding, underwear. I got the picture.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
That's life.
Hilarious stuff. Now, I bet you're thinking what you just saw was the way it appeared in the movie. Well, you're wrong. I just edited it that way.
The whole encounter actually happened several scenes before the alley conversation. So Derpface just recounted word for word something that we saw happen. Yeah, we know. We saw it. We were there.
Once again, Tommy, this is cinema. You can show a situation while someone is talking about it through the power of cinema.
So the rest of the guys rock up and they toss the ball around, when for absolutely no reason, Mark accidentally knocks Derpface over, forcing the night to come to an end, and never mentioned again.
The worst offender of the repetitive scenes has to be the sex scenes that Tommy Wiseau felt necessary to etch into our minds for the rest of our lives.
The movie doesn't even last 5 minutes until the first offense, and they just keep on repeating.
And I mean literally repeating.
Apparently the reason why the two sex scenes between Johnny and Lisa are so similar is because at the beginning of production, Tommy Wiseau told actress Juliette Daniel that there would only be one sex scene between them. But then when they started shooting, Tommy then said that there'd be two, and after she refused the opportunity to be navally assaulted again, he just used outtakes from the first scene. It should also be mentioned that Tommy was 25 years older than Juliette.
And finally, you can't go past redundant scenes without mentioning the flower shop scene.
This scene has absolutely no point other than to show the audience what a nice guy Johnny is.
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Favorite enough that you couldn't recognize him from 6 feet away? And seriously, who could you have mistaken him for? Are you telling me that there's more of these crimes against nature out there?
Every scene in this film is filled with bizarre dialogue and uncomfortable human interactions, which makes me believe Tommy isn't quite who he says he is.
As stated earlier, there have been many theories as to Tommy Wiseau's origins. And to me, the one that makes the most sense is that he's an alien.
Hey, what planet are you on?
I'm fed up with his world.
He doesn't know how to have sex, he laughs inappropriately, he's got no idea what anger looks like, he doesn't understand appropriate conversation.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
And he thinks that spoons are of some sort of spiritual significance.
It's like he's making a documentary to send back to his own kind to show what Earthlings are like. It kind of reminds me of the first episode of Invader Zim.
Upon entering Earth, Zim has to construct a house that would trick the Earthlings into thinking he's human. So he gets Gurr to observe everything he sees on the surface to then incorporate into their disguise. But because they're not from Earth, they don't understand the context of what they saw, so it just ends up looking even more conspicuous.
I feel like this movie is the same thing.
Tommy Wiseau dropped down on Earth, walked around for a day and saw some people throwing around a football, and saw a wedding next door and got confused. He saw a Denny's Diner and thought it was a common name.
Whatever the case, Tommy Wiseau is the most unnatural person I've ever seen in my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
All in all, The Room is a wild ride of confusion that will have you on the edge of your seat at all times.
Now, I grade movies slightly differently here on the Shit Flick Critic, given that bad movies are sort of in a world of their own and differ from, say, a Hollywood blockbuster. That's why I've introduced the negative star system, because these movies are awesome just in their own unique way. I judge bad movies based on 5 categories. Number 1, laughability. The Room is a riot and will no doubt cause a chuckle fest with whatever friends you watch it with. Number 2, rewatchability. I myself have probably watched The Room 6 or 7 times now and it never gets old. 3, pace. Although this movie has some amazing scenes, it's punctuated with a lot of slow and repetitive moments. 4, production value. The Room itself is actually a decently made film. The framing is tolerable, the lighting is sound, and if it weren't for the acting and script, it's passable technically. And number 5, intention. The Room is just one of those movies that had good intentions, but unfortunately was poorly executed by everyone concerned. I really do believe that Tommy Wiseau was trying to make a commentary on life and teach us all to love each other more.
If a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live.
Yeah. Taking all that into consideration, I give The Room -4.5 stars. The only thing that cost it that extra half a star was having to see Tommy Wiseau's naked ass. No one should ever have to see that. So thanks everyone for joining me here on the very first episode of the Shit Flick Critic. I had a very good time making it. Well, it's hard to say, I haven't actually edited it yet. How's it going, Andrew? Yes, well. So please like if you'd like me to make some more videos, and also I'd really appreciate some honest comments because I'm trying to improve these videos more and more. And also, on one last note, if you have already actually seen the Room movie, I really suggest going to Newgrounds and playing the Room video game.
It's an incredible game stylized in the DOS games of the 90s. Told completely from Tommy's perspective, the game tries to fill the numerous plot holes by adding additional dialogue and a complete map of Tommy's world. The music is amazing.
I should mention too that there are also some other channels that I'm involved in that you could check out, like Andy Cam or some of my covers I do on guitar. And other than that, see you later.